Hey, everybody. Good afternoon. It's 1:00 on Tuesday. I hope you had a good Memorial Day. Oh, my gosh. He's hopping. He's popping. He's digging the music, baby. Oh, my God. Ladies and gentlemen, how about a big, nice, warm welcome from my pal. You've seen him on Laughs on Fox. You've seen him on Live at Gotham. He's got millions of views on Dry Bar Comedy. Mark Poolos, my good friend. Good afternoon to you, buddy.
This guy.
That's the one. That's the one right there. Oh, my gosh. Well,
it's good to see you, Johnny and Russell.
Good to see you, too. I tell people that there's Large March. Thanks for looking in. Appreciate it. Tell people that you and I have done a lot of stuff together. We've worked together many shows. We did a podcast. Well, we did more than one podcast. I was a guest on yours. We did one together, but I've never actually projects. I like to call them projects, but I've never really like interviewed you on here. And I thought, well, that's sort of a waste. I should totally do that.
Feel free.
All right. So
you're now an actual broadcaster.
You've got seems like it. Seems like it. I didn't set out to. I didn't set out to. Hell gigs are over. Yeah. By the way, if you didn't, I compiled all the best of hell gigs. I'll ask you about this a little bit later on, but I like to ask everybody about their favorite hell gig. And so I've done like over 40 of these things now. So
40 hell gigs?
No, well, I've done probably more than that. But personally, 40 interview things. And so yesterday, because I didn't really, I thought, well, I might not want to do anything, and I don't know how many people will be watching, for Memorial Day. I compiled a little best of hell gigs show and played that in place of being on here live. So,
it wasn't all your hell gigs. It was a compilation of everyone's hell gigs.
Yeah, I was able to take 18 out from the people that I had talked to, and it's okay.
To that sounds probably pretty good.
It's kind of
I love a good hell gig story.
There's a lot of them. A lot of people had them. Some people, it's like there were some stories that was like really good, and then I would get confused or pop up somebody's like. So here's the thing. I learned that I've been talking to somebody. I can't just pop up the comments willy-nilly, because sometimes the guest will look at them and read them and not be distracted by it. Sometimes I'm distracted by it. So I'm like, I'm not going to put them up until we're done with what we're talking about.
Yeah.
So
that's when I went into the bedroom. Oh, hi. How's it going, Jim?
Hey, I remember this one. But anyway, it's kind of cool. It's about 47 minutes, and actually it kind of goes by pretty quick. Yeah. So if you haven't watched that, go watch it. It's on my YouTube channel, and it's also on the Goonies Facebook page. Okay.
What's funny is up until yesterday, I still had a gig on my calendar.
No kidding.
Second week of June, I was booked for Penguins Comedy Club in Iowa. And what's funny is,
you locked up, dude. Oh well. Mark will come back, or he won't. This is disturbing. That view of him is disturbing. Anyway, so I'll pop my mom in. Hi, Mom. Good to see you. Hope you had a good Memorial Day. Anyway, yeah, I was going to talk about Mark. Anyway, we'll get back to his story about Penguins. My last gig was on June 6th, and it hasn't officially canceled yet, but I'm sure it will. Which I was to headline at Goonies on the 6th of June. Hi, Carol. Good afternoon to you. Hope you're doing well. I wonder if it's probably rainy over there in Wisconsin today. Just we got a little bit more coming this way. But at any rate, Yeah, there we go. You used your freeze ray. Well, that's not helpful. This is you freeze my interview guest. I can't talk to the guy. That's not good. Anyway, so Mark will be back in here. He'll pop back in. I know he will. One of the cool things I want to tell you about is hot. Yeah, it was very hot and sticky yesterday here. There's Dan Bublitz. Hi, Dan. Good to see you, buddy. Mark will pop in here back in a minute, and you can yell beaver at him. Want to let you guys know one of the cool things that I'm going to do on Thursday is I got some of my radio buddies and a couple of comedian buddies and maybe a local celebrity or two, and we're going to play match game on Thursday night at about 7:00 right here on many of these same information stations. Mark's internet is down. So I'll let me send him back a quick message, and I'll try to dawdle here for a minute. Yeah, the internet goes down. It's a little bit tough to work on the internet, I think. Thanks, Dan. I appreciate it. That was a lot of fun. Took a lot to go through everything. There he is. Hey, buddy.
Technology. I know what's happening.
I was just just so you know, Carol is here.
Hello, Carol.
Dan is here.
Dano.
You know that guy. And
he let me help him buy a house.
Yeah. So you had your gig at Penguins is canceled now?
Yeah, so I was supposed to be there the second week of June, and it just so happens that they're going back to doing shows, I think, the fourth week of June. So
you just missed it by a little.
Yeah, just missed it by a couple of weeks, but I can't imagine what it's going to look like. I was talking to Scott Long yesterday about what comedy looks like after COVID, if they're going to have 6 feet distance between tables.
Yeah.
And people are going to be wearing masks and stuff.
It's going to be interesting. I've been down to Penguins, and it's a small, intimate room, and they pack people together. And I don't know how that works. Same thing.
As people may not know, but in comedy we have what's called winter money. Yeah. And we have what's called summer money because less people come to shows, but I'm assuming that pretty soon there's going to be COVID money.
Yeah.
So
Penguins is in Cedar Rapids, Iowa. Cedar Rapids. Yeah. And it's a great club.
A little big city in the Midwest.
We used to call Cedar Rapids. Cedar Rapids is known as the City of 5 Seasons. Did you know that?
Oh yeah, that's what they call it.
And we used to always think because we'd drive by and I don't know. I thought there was only 4 myself. Maybe Cedar Rapids season.
Passion.
It's good. Who knows? Shows are happening half capacity. Well, places that they allow them.
Where's that happening, Dano?
I know. There's a couple of spots at states that have opened up some stuff, but still, you got to separate them, whether it's half capacity or not. I don't know, man. It's a tough thing. So how's
yeah? I was just gonna say like every market, even like the Christmas party season this year is probably gonna just be death because what company has extra money for a Christmas party?
Well, here's what I can tell you, all right? Because there are no set and fast rules anywhere, all right? I know here in Minnesota, if Minnesota opened up, guess what? If you're inside in Minneapolis and you're doing a comedy show in Minneapolis, you got to wear a mask. If you're inside a building or business in Minneapolis, the mayor has declared you got to wear a mask. In Texas, I knew Utah, heard about Texas. In Alaska, for example, I was talking with Mike Fink. Alaska, the whole state's open except for Anchorage. The mayor of
Oh,
Anchorage
okay.
said, "Yeah, we're not open yet. We're not doing it yet." And so this is kind of the problem. You just don't know from place to place. And that's the biggest problem. There's just no real set and fast rules, and part of it's because I don't know. I don't know why.
Yeah,
If
I don't even think, I think the key to like getting over it is not even the vaccine, because it might work, but it might not work. I think the key to this whole thing is coming up with something that a person can take that'll stop them from dying.
Yeah,
Like if people get it, that's fine. If you're out of commission for like a week, but you know that you're not going to die from it,
yeah,
that takes a lot of fear out of it,
solves a
but
lot
I
of
don't know if
problems.
that's even on the horizon.
Yeah, who knows? That would solve a lot of problems
Yeah.
though. Anyway, so let's talk about how your wife is a nurse. People don't know that. So you have a unique.
Thankfully, she's on more of the administrative side.
Oh, good. Yeah, but still, being a nurse, she has firsthand knowledge of what's going on. Man, you froze up again. Your internet sucks today, buddy. So he'll be dropping out. We'll ask about his wife again when she comes back. Oh my gosh, this is going to take forever, Mark. Anyway, so I like the way that he's frozen there because it's kind of creepy. Anybody else think that's the creepiest thing? I mean, it's not the creepiest, but it's pretty creepy. Anyway, so I was going to ask him what he was doing about the coronavirus and whether he was the one shopping and but whatever. We'll ask him when he comes back. If you got any questions while we're waiting for him to pop back in, go ahead and yep, here he is again. He just says, no worries. You have a great frozen picture. Oh, he'll be back. Up, he popped out again. Anyway, new headshot. Absolutely, not bad, not bad. Here he comes again. All right, enter the dragon.
So I've shut off my home Wi-Fi, so I'm running off of my hotspot, which is
okay. Well, that'll work. Okay, I think
I don't know. I don't
who
know
knows?
what's happening with my home Wi-Fi. They were supposed to send us a new box, and then they lied to us. But that's
do you ever restart your router? Do you ever just turn it off?
That is none of your business. Yeah, I know. I gotta cycle it, but it's hard to do in Willow's home because she's on her iPad, and if we cycle it, it shuts it down, and then she gets upset. So
yeah, but you just turn it off and turn it back on, and it pop right back.
Trust me, when I'm done with you, that's the first thing I'm doing.
Okay.
I
just want to say, you'll have to. Now, here's the thing, Mark.
I'm gonna go out in the garage and take the lever and shut it down, and then pull it back up. It's like taking your cell phone, and shutting it down and restarting it.
That takes a while.
I'm gonna take a paper clip and I'm gonna lick it and stick it in an outlet and just start it all over again.
That doesn't seem good.
That is how you do it.
Did you ever do anything stupid like that when you were a kid?
Yeah.
So, what did you stick something into a socket?
No. So, a couple of fun stories from my childhood. No,
I'm sorry. I'm gonna.
Hey, Johnny.
Tyler, Friday is wine day. Come back on Friday. I'll be opening up another bottle.
Drunk last Friday?
Pretty much.
That's awesome. I'm gonna watch that show.
Yeah, it's you know how much I don't drink, so.
Yeah. Well, you don't drink. I don't think I've ever seen you drink.
No, typically not.
Most of the stories happen with my brother. We had one of those old school dart sets with the metal tip darts, and I don't know what happened, but I threw one at him. It stuck in his arm, and he threw one that stuck in my foot. We had a BB gun fight where we were like actually shooting each other with BBs, and he shot me in the face. And here's like the craziest part. So I get shot in the face, and it heals up. It was just like a cut, whatever. I was like 14 at the time, and flash forward to 17 when I'm getting the X-ray for my wisdom teeth,
It's still
and
in
they
there.
bring the X-ray out, and they go, "We don't know what that is," and I go, "That's the BB."
Oh my gosh.
I had to go have outpatient surgery. Thank God, it wasn't a lead BB; it was a copper BB.
Oh wow.
So
That's
my
crazy.
my body just covered it like with tissue to protect the
Yeah.
body from it because it's a foreign. So when they pulled it out, it was still shiny. It's crazy.
Oh wow.
But yeah, tons of
So it
that
was
stuff.
like it.
Did you ever do that thing where you would put your arms and you'd hold your breath and two people would push on your chest until you passed out?
No, I never did that. I've heard
It's
of it,
such a
but I never did
stupid
it.
game.
I heard you could just
I mean,
squeeze somebody from behind and that would work too.
yeah, I mean, it's just stupid games as a kid,
Yeah.
just throwing
Dumbest
darts and guns and
I've
everything.
done I've done many dumb things as a child, but one of the dumbest things I ever did, and I don't know how old I was. I must have been 8, 10, somewhere like that. I put a plugged-in extension cord. I put it in my mouth.
Oh,
My
tiny
mom's
Johnny
watching. My
Wrestler.
mom's watching. I don't know if she knows this, but I remember it was not at our house. It was in a neighbor's garage, and I put it in my mouth, and I remember falling on my ass and sitting there and being in shock because and that answers a lot of questions, I guess.
Yeah,
Peggy Miller, hello to you. Thanks for
that
looking
probably
in.
would have took you off your feet there.
Oh yeah, I mean, I
Oh, yeah. But what I was saying is, thankfully, Anita's on she's on the administrative side of the nursing, so she still has to pop in and out of the hospitals, but a lot of it is like logistics and
so
like
she
she's
can do it
not
from home.
in the emergency room like
Yeah.
working on patients and stuff.
Can
So
she work? Does she work from home or?
parts of it she's able to do um, like the charting and phone calls and stuff from
Yeah.
home, but she still goes in to meet with her liaisons to figure out the transfers because she works for like a treatment hospital that
Okay.
a rehab I think they call it,
Oh yeah. Yeah.
where they take in people with trachs and tubes and then rehab them
Gosh.
back to life.
Hey, Tyler's got a BB story. He had a BB in his ear. Oh, he's done everything you've done. Did you see that?
I don't know if he grew up in Minnesota, but those are all solid Minnesota kid stuff.
It is. All right. So during the pandemic, we know you're home, and we know both your daughters are home. So do you go out and do the shopping? Do you get all masked up and do that, or does
Yeah,
Anita do?
I've been the one ducking in and out of the Costco's and the Cub Foods and such. It is surprising to me how many people aren't wearing masks, and
Yeah.
it's like it's not that big of a like I don't wear like an thanks Tyler. I don't wear one of those like R95 or
Yeah.
N95 like surgical masks. Like I just got one of those like snowboarder stockings where like
Oh yeah.
you just
Yeah,
wear it
dude.
around your neck and
Dude.
then you know
Where
you
is it?
pull it up over your nose and mouth and
Yeah, I know the one you're talking about. I got one of those.
yeah,
Mine. It's
it's like a
it's like
infinity
plaid
scarf or
flannel.
something. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's just
So
like, you're walking in, you pull it up, you do your stuff, you come out and you pull it off. I mean, I don't know what people are freaking out about. Like, I don't want to wear it's America, damn it. It's like, all right.
maybe they just got
Way to
bad
take
breath.
a stand on something.
Yeah.
It's
All right.
like, what?
So do you remember the last show you did before all the wheels fell off of everything?
Yeah, so like I would like to get the antibody test because I sincerely believe that I've already had it.
Hmm.
For two reasons. One, so I think it was like February like the beginning of February, there was rumblings about COVID or whatever, and it
Mhm.
supposedly hadn't come to America yet. And there was a report that came out where they had a suspected case in Madison, Wisconsin, even before the Washington thing, and then they just dismissed it. Well,
Yeah.
that weekend I did a show in Janesville. Was it
Was that
with
the
you?
one I was with you?
Yeah. Was that the
Yeah.
one?
Yeah.
So exactly 8 days after that, I was doing Wisconsin Dells with David Harris.
Mm-hmm.
And right after the show, I got into my car and I got a fever.
Oh.
And I had a fever, I had a dry cough, I had shortness of breath for like 4 days. And that next week was when me and Anita went to New York City. So we were in New York. We went to Phantom of the Opera. We were in
Oh
crowded
yeah.
delis. We went to some shows and like full restaurants and Times Square and like everything for 4 full days. February like 20, I think it was 24 through 27, something like that. And then right after that, I flew through Portland to Alaska
Oh yeah.
and then flew back through Seattle. I flew through all these hot spots and I wasn't wearing a mask because they weren't saying anything at that point. Like they were actually saying to not wear a mask at that point
Yeah.
because there were so little masks. So I flew, gosh, like 5 times at the end of February, beginning of March. And then my final show that I did where I shut down was I was I had a showcase at the APCA College Showcase in
Oh
Hershey,
yeah.
Pennsylvania. And so they were on the fence whether or not they were going to cancel it because like half of the schools decided they weren't going to go because of COVID
Mm-hmm.
and they didn't cancel it. So I wasn't freaked out going to New York and back, and I was like mildly freaked out going to Alaska and back. But then when I had to fly to Baltimore and back, like I was super freaked out.
Yeah.
I wore my N95 mask the whole time I was in the airport in the airplane, and then so I had a lunch showcase on Friday, and that was my last set before everything shut down. I did a 10-minute lunch showcase set for a half full room of colleges that
Wow.
were just about to shut down for the entire year.
So
I
that
was
was a
like,
waste.
well, that was a lot of fun.
Yeah. Oh my
And it was
gosh.
like such a quick turnaround too, because I was supposed to showcase on Saturday and they moved me up to Friday, so they covered the reschedule of my plane ticket. So I flew out like Thursday night at 8, got to Pennsylvania at 3 in the morning, slept, did my showcase at noon, and I was back at the airport at 6 in the morning Saturday morning, and I was
Oh
back home
wow.
Saturday afternoon.
Wow. That was a quickie. I'm going to say this is so typical. The last flight that I took, we were going to Boston in my crew. And hey, there's Cindy Strickland. Hello. Welcome to you. Cindy watches from Alabama, Mark. We have people watching from all over the place.
Do you know Cindy?
Cindy Strickland from Alabama.
But
She
do you
may have,
know her?
huh? Do you know her?
I don't know her. Do
No,
you
I
know
don't. I know her because she watches us.
her? No, but
So,
did you know her from before?
no,
Or she just loves your show so
she
much
is.
that she
So
tunes
here's
in?
so here's the thing. Cindy's an awesome person. Cindy watched when I had Mr. Showtime David Scott on because I
Oh,
believe, met
yeah.
him down there. He was doing a show down there. I don't know if it was at the Stardome or if it was elsewhere, but she met him and watched his show and then enjoyed what I was doing and has been
Not doing
watching ever
that.
since, which is awesome, and I appreciate it very much. Also, a
Showtime.
very also a very good uh, uh, chef, Cindy Strickland is.
Oh.
But what I was going to say is the last trip that I took to Boston, on the way to Boston, we were flying out of Minneapolis, of course, and the lady's got a mask on. And this would have been I think the last week of February.
Or February.
Or not. It was the week after you and I went and did the Snowbound, or whenever. I don't know when it was. Anyway, she's all masked up. She comes on.
Bay Mills.
Yeah.
and then we split up
and went on our own merry way.
Oh God,
that was crazy. But
yeah.
So she's got and she comes on and she's got a bag of wipes and she's wiping down wiping down the seat, wiping down the arms, wiping down the tray table, wiping down the TV, and got her mask on. And she's right across the aisle from me, and I'm like looking at her sideways, like, you're nuts, lady. And we take off, and we're at cruising altitude, and she pulls down her mask, and all of a sudden goes, and I'm like, what the heck? What's the point? What's the point? What is the point, lady?
You're already sick. What are you holding the sick in?
But I mean, everybody's trying to be safe. That's all. That's all.
There was the one flight.
Thanks, Carol. Carol's in Kenosha, Wisconsin, by the way.
Oh, Kenosha.
Yeah.
The Kenosha Kickers.
Made that up.
Oh, it's the band John Candy's in Home Alone, the Kenosha Kickers. So when I flew from Minneapolis to Alaska, the leg of the flight from Minneapolis to, I think it was Seattle, I was like in row 10, and the guy across the aisle on the aisle in like row 8 was just coughing up a storm the entire time. So I was just like turning towards the thing the whole time.
Yeah.
But now we know it's like, I mean, if there was one person on that plane that had it and was symptomatic, then probably the entire plane had it.
Yeah, you'd all had it.
You know?
Yeah.
And that's the thing too, is like the stories that you heard, the different things that come out that, 30 to 40% of America has already had it and gone through it,
That's just crazy. Just crazy.
Yeah.
All right. So we got to get into the interview part, because you and I mean, this is, and folks, if you didn't know this, Mark and I have known each other for quite a long time, and we can just get off on tangents. So, and I've told people that our method when we go in the car is we usually never turn the radio on. I remember when we went out to
Cappies.
Yeah. I mean, most of it's, I mean, it's just crazy. But we came up with a whole podcast ideas, going out to Corona, South Dakota and back. I mean, it's like, oh yeah, come up with an idea. We literally scripted like 3 episodes out. But one of the things that people like to do is they like to find out about, some comedy things. What's in your head? So you've been doing this for quite a while. What possessed you to think, hey, I should try this stand-up comedy stuff?
It's such a silly story. So when I was a kid, like, I was pretty, like, jokey with my family. Like, I always wanted to make them laugh, and I think it was just kind of the way that I dealt with things as a kid. Like, if things got serious and really, like, downery, I would do weird stuff to make everybody laugh and hopefully take away the sad parts of life and whatever. And as I went through school, like, I loved movies. I loved watching them. And my first kind of idea of what I wanted to do with my life was to be some kind of involved in movies somehow. But I was kind of like, codependent with my family. Like, I didn't want to leave and be by myself. So I was trying to figure out a way to learn about it, but stay home, because you film, you're going to go to one of the coasts, you're going to go to school in NYU or UCLA or some place that has a film program.
Yeah.
And so I went to the U of M and majored in communications. And there were no programs at the U to learn about filmmaking at the time that I went.
Yeah.
And I don't even remember where the suggestion came from or where the idea came from, but somehow I got it in my head that I should work in TV news
Mm.
and I could learn about cameras and lighting and editing software. I don't even remember where I saw it or what it was, but I applied for, job, the loosest word you could use, that job. It was more of an internship at KSTP Channel 5.
Oh yeah.
And so my last 2 years of college, I worked there on like a part-time basis doing cameras. So I would start work at like 3, and then we would do the newscasts in the afternoon, and then there'd be a break, and then we'd do the 10 o'clock newscast, and I'd be home by like 11:30,
Hmm.
and I would do cameras and the teleprompter and other stuff. Like you'd have to set up shoots for people and lighting and all that kind of stuff. Um, and the truth of the matter was, I was there for probably 4 years, and I learned nothing that would help me in movie making at all. I mean, it's such a different animal. And so there was a job that came up across the way. Hubbard Broadcasting used to have a thing called USSB, which was like the competitor to DirecTV.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So they were running 24-hour programming over there, and they had something called the All News Channel. So they were hiring an editor over there. So I'm like, maybe that's my next step. So I applied and I got the job, but it was overnights. So I would
Mm.
start at midnight and work till 6 in the morning. And truthfully, like the majority of the time, we just sat there and did nothing, just waiting for like some big news story to break. And then we do the 6 a.m. newscast that they would replay all day, and that was it. Well, working overnights, sometimes stories would come in and they would need a voice talent,
Oh yeah.
and you could apply to become a voice talent, and every time that you did like this story and they used your voice, you would get $25.
Oh wow.
And so I applied to become a voice talent, and they approved me. So for like a month or two, I made a couple, I think it was like $300 or something,
Mhm.
just going into the studio and doing my voice, but like serious stuff,
Yeah.
It'd be like, today in Kosovo, they found 2 missiles outside of whatever, and this is the story. And then you'd clip in the interviews with the people or whatever, and
Yeah.
then you'd say like, and for All News Channel, back to you. And
Wow.
$25 a pop. And when I got that first check for like $300, I was like, this is my job. Like, this is going to be my career. So I went and I took a class from Don Cosgrove on how to be a voice talent. And he told me that the way that actors work on their voice is they do theater plays so they can project. So I started auditioning for theater plays, even though I had no interest in being an actor whatsoever. I just had this idea that I was going to be a voice talent, and
Yeah.
I had to do whatever I had to do to get me to that point, because I'm like, this is a job. Because that was a thing I struggled with after college, was finding a job that I wanted to do, that I loved and like wanted to get out of bed for every day. So I started taking classes on how to be a voice talent. And right around this time was when I left the TV station, and my brother got me a job dealing blackjack at Mystic Lake, but to just pay the bills,
Yeah. Yeah.
because it was an overnight shift there, but it was so much more money. Like I was getting $10 an hour at the TV station as a video editor.
Yeah.
And at the casino, it was like $27 an hour.
Oh,
Which
wow.
is crazy because it was all based on tip rate. Like
Yeah.
the tips that came in. And anyways, so I, I wish I could find the picture. But I did a play called Legends in a Snowfall where I played a character called the Spirit of the Mirror. And my family came and my friends came to see me like be this bigger than life. It was like a Christmas play that was at Lakeshore Players in White Bear
Okay.
Lake.
Okay.
And it ran for a couple weeks. We did a couple daytime series with schools. And anytime I would come out on the stage, all the kids would start crying because I was the scary character.
Oh, man.
The lights would go out. There'd be a crash of lightning and thunder, and then I would appear on stage in a cloud of smoke.
Yeah.
Hey, buddy.
Hi, Lee.
And you just hear these kids crying, and I'm like, this is horrible. But I liked it. So then my idea shifted to maybe I could be an actor. So I started taking classes at one of those chop shops, the Karen International,
Yeah.
Joe Roberts School of Acting.
Yeah.
Like blew like $5,000 just learning.
Oh, my gosh.
And the big crescendo to the whole series of classes was they take the whole group of you to New York City, the big time, and it was a week-long convention where you were meeting top agents in the
Casting
business.
directors, agents, yeah.
And you were auditioning. And I'll never forget it. So the last day, we do all these conferences, we do all these auditions, and if there was a talent agency in New York that was interested in signing you and they wanted to have a sit-down conversation with you, there was all these whiteboards in the lobby, and you were given a 6-digit number.
Yeah.
It was Auschwitz or something. So you get a 6-digit number. You don't have a name, you're just a number. And so you scan all the boards looking for your 6-digit number. Like who wants to see you? Who wants to talk to you? And so they tell you if there's one agency that wants to talk to you, it gets you in the room. And once you're done talking to that agency, you can just browse around and like sit down with other people and give them your headshot. But you need that one agency.
You need one person wants to talk to you
to get you in that room. And if that's not the case, you don't even get to go in the room. So just imagine, this is months of prep, thousands of dollars. I've flown all the way to New York. I've done 20 auditions. I've prepped monologues, all this stuff. And we all rush down to the lobby. I scan the boards like 5 times, and not one person wants to talk to me. It was me and like 4 other kids just sitting in the lobby. Like, well, that was fun.
And everybody else, but you 4 got in?
Yes. And we're talking about like 100, 150 kids, because it wasn't just Karen International. It was Karen International, Arkansas, Joe Roberts, Des Moines. Like it was all these different groups.
Yeah.
So there was like 150 kids at this hotel. And it was me and 4 other kids.
Oh my
gosh. I was so pissed off. Oh.
There you go.
Yep. My wife.
One of his favorites.
She's pretty sad. So I was so mad that.
No, he's still telling the story about how he started in comedy, which has been this. I mean, I love you, Mark, but it's been 20 minutes.
I'm sorry.
Get to the jokes, man.
So I was so pissed off at that moment. I gave up on the entire thing, and I just went home.
Yeah.
And when I got home, my mom, I was just like, well, that was fun. I guess I'll try to figure out what I want to do with my life. And that day, she called me on the phone, and she said, Scott Novotny is having a comedy class at the Minnesota Comedy Club, and you should go and take it. It's only $50. And I'm like, well, I'm not going down a third rabbit hole. You know, it was like voiceover talent, acting. I'm not going to go down comedy, but I'm like, I'll give it a try. And the first time I stepped on stage, Novotny goes, "You're a natural. You should be a stand-up comedian," and the rest is history. Sorry, the end.
No, so here's the thing. I mean, and this is just for future because I like to help people, right? So, like, if anybody ever asks you that question again, the way that you should answer is, "Oh my gosh, it's so great! You know, my mom found this comedy class and said, you know what, you should take it because my mom always thought I was funny." The end.
Hey, that was a good story, man.
I know. No, I'm kidding you, buddy. I know part of that. And I do know because you and I have gone through. Actually, Mark and I did kind of a Mystery Science Theater 3000 kind of deal on another page of one of his great acting forays.
Killer snow cone zombie.
It is the worst piece of shit I ever saw in my life.
Oh, I can't remember. So somebody commented on, like, it's been up there forever.
Yeah.
And somebody recently just commented on it, and it's probably the best comment ever. It said, "What in the wild berry Pop Tarts am I watching?"
It is the most ridiculous. It's like and I remember, so you're like, "Oh, well, I got $50 and some pizza." And I'm like, well, and
like a guy took acid and turned on the typewriter. That's pretty much that's what.
Oh my god! There you go. Lee says,
"Oh,
no comedians always have long setups." That's right, because yeah. Oh my gosh!
Mom sent me. She thinks I'm funny. The end.
Well, see, yeah, I know, Dan. No, I'm not. Believe me. Yeah, you're gonna give me the COVID. Believe me, I didn't know what he was talking about either at some points. Wow, this is a beautiful thing though. You get so many stories, man. You get great stories, and I know. I just did my Hell Gigs show. You know, I'm gonna keep asking people about Hell Gigs. What is your favorite Hell Gig of all the time you've ever done comedy? The one that you remember the most?
Oh God. I mean, there's been so many. It's just crazy, man. I mean, the one that I always say when people ask, oh gosh, you know what? There's two that are like tied for it. Okay. I got. I'll go through them quick. So I did a show out in Reno, and this guy saw me and said he had a club in Grand Junction. So he hired me for, I think it was 6 shows for like a grand or something, and he added a corporate show on Thursday, and the money went up to like $1,500 or something. But this was like when cell phones would like drop out when you're driving and then come back up. So I left my house, and by the time I had got to Grand Junction, he had canceled like 6 of the 7 shows. Like the only show that was left was the corporate show. And we renegotiated down the money or whatever.
Yeah.
But I had gigs after it, so I asked him if I could stay in the hotel, and he said it was fine. But I show up to this corporate show, and it's for like a golf thing or whatever. And I walk in with him arguing with the people that are part of the corporate party because they purchased the appetizer instead of the dinner program or whatever. And half the people showed up early and ate everything. So the other half came and they're like, "Where's the food?" And this is what I walk in on. I walk in on him talking to the lead person of the company. And he goes, "You know what? If your fat friends hadn't shown up early and ate everything, you'd have something to eat too." And then he just walks away and he goes, "Time for comedy."
Oh my God.
And this was back when, to do a clean corporate show, I had to play guitar.
Yeah. Oh God.
To fill the time. So these people, and he goes, "Just so you know, these people are dicks." And he goes, "And the air conditioner's broke." So, and this was like Colorado in the summertime. It was so hot in there. So I walk in, everybody's sweating. Half the people are starving. I walk on stage, And I do some bits and nobody's laughing. They're all pissed off. And I go, hey, how about a song? I pick up the guitar. I strum it once and 4 strings pop. And I go, all right, I guess we're not doing guitar tonight. So I put the guitar back down. And I got 27 minutes in to an hour that I was supposed to do. And this is the first and only time I've ever had to do this in my career. I said, that's all I have. I'm sorry. And I just left the stage
Oh my gosh.
to like 3 people going,
What the hell was this? Oh my God. You can
I-
still get
yeah,
paid?
Yeah, actually, I did get paid. But he
Huh.
was so pissed off at me. I mean, it was just brutal, man. But I've never felt more embarrassed like on stage. Like, I guess I put myself into that hell gig, but
Yeah.
to date, like I trying to rack my brain, but there's no way to beat Big Timber, Montana. Like Big Timber, Montana will forever be the worst gig I've ever done in my life. And it was so stupid because I was out with Cocazello doing Stoner and the Fat Man, and we had a gig cancel, and Tribble's like, here's this last minute thing. We show up to town. It's same old story. Like the stage is in front of a few potted plants. The microphone is running through the jukebox. They did no promotions whatsoever. There was 7 people in the audience. Joe does his thing. It's fine. I go up. I'm just trying to just get done. And I'm like, I don't know, man, 25 minutes into a 40-minute set, and two guys walk in the door, and they're like, what's happening? Just out loud. I go, it's a comedy show. And he goes, but why? I go, they hired me to come here, okay? Just leave me alone. And so the one guy goes to the bar. The other guy sits down at a table with 2 people and just sits there like this. And after like 4 jokes, he just starts going, does anybody think this is funny? Like, shouldn't he stop and us turn the jukebox on? And, oh my, you know me.
Yeah.
I don't get angry on stage. Like, I could care less.
Yeah.
I find it funny when people don't like what I'm doing. But this guy made me so mad that I've never, like, unleashed on an audience member. I'm like, dude, you need to just get out of here. And he's like, I'm not going anywhere. This is my bar. I go, that's it. So I turn to the lady. I go, I'm not gonna continue until he's gone. This is just a waste of my time. And he stands up and he's like, I'll leave when you go to Jenny Craig or something like that. And I go, oh, that's a really clever fat joke, And then I said, why don't you go back to your trailer and make some more meth with your fat wife? And his buddy that was at the bar stands up and goes, F you! And leaves. And I go, what the hell was that? Like, and so then it's a whole big thing. The bouncers are dragging him out and whatever. And then Cocazello's like, bring me back on. Let's do the guitar stuff. I go, this is the worst thing I've ever been a part of. And we do like one song, and I'm just like, I'm done with all of it. I was so done. I was done like 10 minutes into the show. And then I just want to get my check and I want to leave. And the owner goes, you should probably hang around for a little bit because those 2 guys are part of the posse. Are you aware of the posses in Montana? Because apparently there's law enforcement, but then there's also self-deputized groups of men that roam the cities to protect it called posses.
Oh, God.
And he goes, and they're waiting outside for you. So I'd stay here for a little bit. I'm like, so then I had to just sit there and wait till it was safe to go back to this crappy hotel they put us in.
Oh,
and
my
then in
God.
the morning, we leave, and Cocazello called me like 4 days later, and he goes, dude, I think that hotel gave me scabies. I mean, it's absolutely the worst show. I mean, I've done so many different shows where, like, there's nobody there.
Yeah.
And I know some comics are like, Oh, it was a hell gig. There was no one in the audience. Like, I welcome that sometimes.
That ain't bad.
Or other people yelling at me through the whole show.
Yeah.
I mean, I've had tons. Like, most of them are triple gigs, but I did one in Billings, Montana, where two ladies hated me so much they stood at the doors and turned people away.
Oh
There
my
was two
God.
ways to get into the comedy room, and they stood there the rest of my show and said, "Trust me, you don't want to come in here. He's horrible." Like, well, that's nice.
That's helpful. Oh my gosh. Well, those are good. And I know you have more. And we'll maybe one day we'll just talk about
You always
Hellgate.
say, Johnny.
Huh?
What's the one that you always say that's at the top of your list?
Oh, for me? Um I don't know. My favorite Hell gig was one where there were so many people, and it was it was at the North and South Dakota Elks Convention. I had worked at the Elks Lodge in Mitchell, South Dakota, and had a great show, great time. And the manager contacted me month and a half, 2 months down the line, and said, "Would you like to come back? We love you. We'd like to have you perform for our convention." I'm like, "Yeah, that sounds great." And so I came back, and the crux of it is that the show I did was a public show, and people that were not Elks were there. And when I got there for the Elks convention, I think the average age was 70 something. Yeah. And the place was packed, which I thought, oh my God, this is going to be great. And then I got in there and I'm like, oh my God, these people are so old. And they had been at the Elks convention. This was on Saturday night. They'd been at the Elks convention since Wednesday doing Elks shit. And it started off, yeah, exactly. And I'll say I'll try to say it as quickly as I can. I brought Lindsay Hensel with me to open for me, and the way it worked was we didn't have a host, and they weren't gonna do anything, so I was just gonna go up, introduce Lindsay, and then she was gonna introduce me. And as I'm introducing Lindsay, some poobah in a yellow jacket comes up waving his hands with his hand out like he's gonna grab for the mic, and I'm like, well, he's got a yellow jacket on. Okay. So I let him have it, and he goes, "So, well, we're really happy that you guys are here, but folks, we'd like to just take a moment to recognize Elmer Anderson. Elmer passed away today. He was a great elk, and he was here with you at the convention. He was at the convention and died at the hotel." And they go through some elk rigmarole with a little thing that rings out, bing, bing, bing. And then at the end of the moment of silence, he says, "Thank you." And now here are the comedians. Thanks. And so then Lindsay gets up, and here's all these old people, and Lindsay gets up, and this is my judgment was based on the public show. Was not based on. So she has a joke about the phones, right? Who's got a cell phone? Who's got a landline? She says, "Who's got a cell phone?" And half of them clap. And who's got a landline? And everybody claps. And I go, "This is not going to go well." And then she has a joke where she says C word, which I didn't realize she was going to use. And immediately you hear an audible gasp, and about half the old ladies get up and leave. I mean, literally, it's just like, "Oh, we're done." And it's like, oh my God. And so she gets through her set, and then she introduces me, and I go up, and I am literally halfway into my opening joke, and another different poobah comes up waving with a different colored waving, and I'm like,
died this time.
What? I'm thinking, what? And he says, "Just like to remind you folks, if you've bid on anything in the silent auction, please come back and check on it, because we'd like to really get that closed up and be done with it here in the next 10 minutes. And then hands it back to me. Well, first of all, my first joke screwed. Second of all, it's an excuse for everybody to get up and leave. So where there were probably close to 400 people in that room when we started, by the time I got to start my set, there were probably 75 in there and scattered out all over the goddamn place. You know, it
Johnny,
was.
we need to schedule another show where we can just talk about our worst gigs in history. Because as you're talking, I've already thought of like 7 other ones.
I know it pops into your head, doesn't it? It pops into your head. It's just crazy.
Literally, I think it was November or October. I picked up that show at the. Yeah, that is true.
It is. Well, I never got in a fight on a triple gig.
Fat Pants Brewery or whatever in Eden Prairie with Cocazello.
Oh, no, I think you told me about it.
Yeah, I mean, it's super quick. We just walked in. They didn't promote it or anything. They just had us start doing comedy. I mean, just imagine you walked into Applebee's. No one knew you were supposed to be there, and you just stood up on a chair and started doing comedy in a busy Applebee's.
Yeah.
That was literally what it was. I mean, I have a video of it. I can put it on my I'll put it on my comedy page because it's just ridiculous. It's like 20 seconds of the MC performing, and I just scan back and forth. It's so loud, you can't even hear a word he's saying, and he has a microphone.
Oh my God! We all. I think the more. I mean, obviously, the more you do, the more chance you have a show that's just like that. I mean, I got plenty of more stories. But maybe we should.
It's going to be interesting.
Yeah, maybe we should do that someday. Just talk about Hellgates. Anyway, well, here's the thing. So
my 20-minute story of how I got into comedy.
Well, that we could do without that. But since it's live, I can't edit it out. Oh, hold on. Here we go.
Oh God. The year was 2005, and I had just finished a stint in Shawshank Prison. Man came up to me and he said, "Are you funny?"
Okay, stop. So we talked about some hell gigs. Tell me about is there one Jesus? Is there one single performance or moment in comedy where you're like, nailed it, this is it?
Yeah, I'm sure there is. Nothing comes.
I mean, because here's the thing, because I've talked with a number of people, different people, right? And some of the people that have been at it for a long time, it's very, very difficult because you have so many peaks as you progress, And I mean, you've got a ton of them. Getting on Laughs on Fox is a peak. Winning the Comedy by Trial is a peak.
Yeah.
Live at Gotham's a peak.
Yeah. I think if there was one thing I had to point to, I would probably say it was the Live at Gotham set, because it was live and it was broadcast on not a lot of TV stations, but it was still broadcast live. And before that moment, I had done a lot of auditions for like the Montreal Comedy Fest and Comedy Central and tons of like high profile things, and the nerves always got me. Like I looked up to these guys that could do all these auditions and not have nerves about it and just nail it. And up until that moment that I did Live at Gotham, the nerves always got me, and I felt like ruined every set that I did to audition for something. And I don't know what it was about that night, but I got up there and I did 2 bits and they went good, and the rest of it was just a blur. And I just remember walking off stage and being like that was the first time I ever did a high profile thing. and felt like it went well,
Yeah.
But yeah, the Laughs on Fox, I thought I did pretty good in that, and winning the Comcast Trial by Laughter, a bunch of stuff, went okay, but I never felt like the nerves always felt like they got me until then.
Well, I also like the Live at Gotham because you also started some internet beef or Twitter beef with Michael Che.
Did I start a Twitter beef with Michael Che?
I remember you telling me you had some stuff.
I don't even remember that.
Yeah. Thanks for watching, Carol. We appreciate it. Have a good nap. We'll see you tomorrow.
Was she saying that we were so dull that?
No, she did no. No, I don't think so. I mean, she made it. She made it through your "How did I start" story. So,
I'd like to say this on the show as governor of Alaska. I proclaim all comedy clubs reopen immediately. God bless.
huzzah! And that wouldn't have happened if Jeff hadn't suggested it.
Yeah. You know what they should just do is they should. Good. They should just put up little, hazmat tents in the comedy club. Table for two.
I saw that somewhere where they had set up little huts that had clear glass.
People can sit.
Like that kind of.
That's
kind of yeah.
Well, I don't know.
Large Marge is insulting you.
Oh, thank you.
Oh my God.
Truthfully, I don't understand why we can't now do at least outside shows.
Yeah,
I mean, if people are sitting 6 feet apart from each other.
I don't know, man. Yeah. If I could figure something out.
Ozarks video from this weekend, we should be just right back to business.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, good Lord, I just need somebody to piggyback ride with me to Costco.
Have you been out of your house since this has started, Johnny?
What?
Have you been out of your house since this has started?
Oh yeah. I usually end up going on in about couple 3 times a week, maybe. See, I end up going over my kids. My one son only lives 1.5 miles from me, so I go over and watch the grandkids, play with the grandkids. And I've mentioned this many times. I'm not going out that much, and I know my son's working from home, and my daughter-in-law is a hairstylist, and she's not working right now. So even though the salons are open, she's not doing anything.
Well, don't go to Great Clips.
I would.
Did you see that?
No.
Two hairstylists went to work symptomatic and affected like 150 people. So that was good.
Awesome. That's always fun. Anyway, buddy, we're at an hour, and it always goes by too fast.
We did it.
I know, but I appreciate it very, very much, and my gosh, I'm always happy to talk with you, and it's always fun and entertaining, and I hope people liked it. I think they did, with the exception of about 20 minutes.
Let's put back me and you hell gigging.
We'll do it. Folks, tomorrow I've got Mars Timms from Chicago. He's a great comedian. I've worked with him several times. Very nice guy. Also, he does, and we're talking about voiceover stuff. He does a lot of voiceover work. In fact, he's the voice of some pretty famous game. He's on some game. Thanks for watching, Tyler. We appreciate it very much, man.
Yeah, thanks. Everybody.
And I just want to remind you, you're very kind, Jeff. You didn't. There was 20 minutes where you didn't really need to even be here. You
a lot of drop offs and pop outs and then a 20-minute horrible story.
It wasn't a horrible story. It just wasn't good. Darn it! I was trying to get him to spit water.
Damn it, Johnny.
Anyway, folks, like always, if you're looking at your Facebook feed or Twitter or Twitch or whatever you watch, somebody's streaming something, stop and give them a like. Watch it for a little bit. If it's not your cup of tea, move on. But help everybody that's a creative person that's trying to connect with people. They're all trying to do something and let them know what they're doing has value. Appreciate that. Again, tomorrow, Mars Timms. Tonight, I should ask you, are you doing any more like internet shows? You got any internet shows coming up?
No. I don't have much cooking. Last one I did was Wendy's album release party, which actually was pretty cool.
Yeah, it's very fun. Very fun.
I thought it was going to be like an interview thing, but then it turned out that I was supposed to do a set, so that
Yeah.
got kind of weird. But I pulled it
Yeah.
off.
Hey, Lee, thanks for looking in. I know you're busy with the job. We appreciate you looking in, buddy.
He has a job.
Yeah, he's a comedian with a responsible job,
Oh, that's
which
right.
makes him a profitable comedian. Tonight, now, if you're a wrestling fan, tonight
Oh yeah.
on our wrestling channel, which is called Two Count Comedy Meets Wrestling, we're going to be interviewing Brad Williams, my buddy Big Ace and I. Big Ace is a former radio broadcaster, wrestling broadcaster, and so we're excited to have Brad Williams on with us tonight. That'll be at 9:00 Central Time, and if you look up on my personal page, there'll be links. So you can track it down if you want to watch that, because that's going to be a lot of fun. Again, tomorrow we've got Mars Timms. On Thursday, we've got fantastic Chris Maddock is going to be on with us at 1:00. That'll be fun. And then
Mad Dog.
the Mad Dog, the Madoo. Suck it, Ben. He needs more Russell in the system. But anyway,
twice.
Yeah, there you go. Then on Thursday night, I and my radio buddies are going to be doing a match game. And you're going to want to tune in because I got it figured out. It's going to be fun and it's crazy. So match game, going to be a full house. We've got at least 6 people that are going to be on screen playing the match game. So that'll be 7:00 on Thursday night, and we'll do that on the Goonies page here too. Folks, thank you so much for watching. Mark, thank you so much for taking the time. I appreciate it. No, you got other things to do. Look at that. He's such a cheerful dude. Anyway, folks, thanks for watching. We appreciate it. I'll see you tomorrow at 1:00. Bye-bye.